Florida does not have any estate taxes. For many, this alone is a strong incentive to change one's domicile to Florida. It is important to realize, too, that even if a change of domicile to Florida becomes effective, New York may still impose a New York estate tax on those assets which continue to have a New York state tax situs, which means where the item is legally considered to be. Since the applicable New York tax rate takes into account worldwide assets, the amount of the New York tax may come as a surprise. One objective of a New Yorker who changes his or her domicile to Florida should be to minimize the assets that have a New York situs for purposes of imposing New York estate taxes. In the full text for this session, we focus on what those assets might be and how they might be removed from the clutches of New York State on death. The general rule is that intangible personal property is deemed to have a situs where the owner is domiciled at the time of his death and will not be subject to New York estate taxes if owned by a Floridian. Thus, stocks and bonds, even though they may be issued by a New York corporation, will not be subject to New York estate taxes on the death of a Floridian. This is not so with regard to real estate and tangible personal property. Real property and tangible personal property have a tax situs where they are located. A Floridian's home in New York, as well as his tangible personal property, will also be subject to New York estate taxes. This will also include works of art, jewelry in a New York safe deposit box, and other tangible assets located in New York State. For this reason, it may be desirable for a retiree to transfer his New York home by gift to his children. However, if that is done, it will not be eligible for a stepped-up basis on the retiree's death, and there may be other unfavorable tax consequences. Another possibility may be to transfer it into a corporate entity if the value of the residence is less than half of the total assets held by the entity. This and other techniques are discussed in the full text, but I caution you before you make any type of transfer to avoid New York State estate taxes that you should consult with a professional advisor.